Welcome to the Good Neighbor Spotlight, the show where we celebrate community, compassion, and the power of being a good neighbor. From the heart of the mountains in Southwest Virginia, we bring you the stories of service, hope, and the people who make it all possible. Volunteers, partners, staff, and friends. We're so glad you're here. Pull up a chair and we'll listen, learn, and laugh together one neighbor at a time. Hello again, everybody, and I want to welcome you to the third episode of our Good Neighbor Spotlight. Today we have the privilege of having a conversation with Lisa Haun, who is our clothes closet manager. She and I were able to sit down. We don't get to talk very much because they're so busy over here. We don't get to sit down and have a conversation, and I'm really pleased with what we were able to talk about today because it brought back memories that I hadn't thought about in years. She was able to tell a story, how she started here, how she ended up here, and how we won't let her go. But before we jump into the conversation, I want to take a moment to thank one of our partners, one of our business partners, and that is April Lusk, State Farm agent located in Baston, Virginia. April provided us with a matching financial donation back before Christmas, which we were able to share our program with a lot more people, our Christmas program, and help give them some hope and bring a little joy to their Christmas. So thank you very much, April Lusk, for always supporting us and always being a good neighbor to the Bland Ministry Center. Hello everyone. Today we're talking to Lisa Haun. And Lisa is our clothes closet manager, and she and I were just talking before Susan turned the camera on that we've known each other for 19 years. There's no way we can be that old, but I guess it is. This is actually the second time we've tried to produce this podcast. The first time we got a little too much in the weeds, so Susan refused and is making us do it over. So here we go to do it over. This is actually a better time to talk about the clothes closet because, as you see behind us, all of our racks are filled, which is a good thing. This is also in the middle of March, and it's when everybody starts thinking about spring and cleaning out closets and getting rid of things that they don't want anymore or they can't use, or maybe they had a little too merry of a Christmas and somehow the clothes don't fit anymore. So we'd like to talk about how grateful we are that people think of us to bring their clothes that they're cleaning out of their closet. And it's not only spring cleaning that we get. Sometimes we are very, very blessed and fortunate to have folks bring us the belongings of their loved ones that have recently passed, and everybody has that daunting challenge of what to do with some of our family's favorite things when they're no longer around. So Lisa, if you'd like to talk to them about some of the experiences that you've had with donors and some of the things we've had, and then I have one little special story I want to add.
Okay. With the donations, we generally like it be usable clothing that's not stained, ripped, torn, things like that. Things that are, if it's underwear or socks, preferably be packaged, still in the package.
That's actually a health department guideline on the underclothing, isn't it? It has to be
so.
And
on the bathing suits as well. We've it's
that makes sense.
Generally like for them to be in lighter bags when they're put in the drop box. We do accept donations here Monday through Thursday when I'm here between 8:30 and 2:30, and feel free to drop it off anytime you want to. Between those hours, and also there's always somebody here in the office as well if I happen to have had to leave for the day. Mm-hmm. So we welcome those, and of course on the weekends there's our big orange drop box that is out back, and we welcome that you put things in. However, we really do like if they're in the smaller bags, right, because it's just us women and our muscles here.
Right, right. And they can also, I mean, they're not limited till the 2:30 cutoff. They can bring
No.
them anytime and use that drop box, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the drop box can be used 24/7.
Okay.
So it's there
Okay.
whenever they need it.
Okay. You come up on weekends.
Yes, on Saturday. I come in on Saturday. Yes, and try to catch from between Friday and Sunday. So you
Right.
kind of there's a Friday and a Saturday.
Right.
So Friday and Sunday isn't checked usually, but now I think it does get checked on Fridays,
Yes.
even though I'm not here.
Yeah, the office is open on Friday, so we come over and try to make sure it's emptied when we leave the office on Friday afternoon to try to give everybody a empty space to take care of that. One thing.
Oh.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And as far as we take more than just clothes. We take furniture. We take mattresses. Of course, here in the clothes closet, we start out our shopping experience with the books and the DVDs, and the books are unlimited because we got a lot of homeschooling around here, and they do enjoy
Right.
giving those children something to do. The DVDs, not everyone has access to. Even hard to believe, but in this day and time, a lot of people don't have access to the internet or can't afford the internet.
Right. Right.
And the DVDs are there, and we have a lot of them that kind of it's like a library. They'll take so many back, and then they'll bring some back, and then they'll say, "Well, I'm going to get some more." So sometimes it's like a library in that aspect there.
I also know several families that don't have television in their home just because of the program content. It's not what they
Absolutely.
want their children. So the DVDs are a good thing to give their children, give their family some entertainment without having to worry about
At the control.
Yeah, sending the kids out of the room or something of that. So it's pretty
And
neat.
then after you pass that, there is the shoes. We allow however many people you have in the household can get a pair of shoes. And if you can't find a pair of shoes for Susie, but you can find a couple for Jack, as long as it's within the family number,
Right.
that is good. Then we go on to the sheets and the backpacks, sheets, and the the sheets and the blankets and things like that. And sheets are allowed every 6 months. The blankets is blankets, throws, comforters, quilts, whatever is allowed one every 3 months. We have curtains that do come in.
Why do we have those limits? Like the sheets on 6 months?
The
What?
sheets, we don't get a whole lot of those, and sometimes when we do get them, they're already getting pretty worn.
Okay.
Because most people I know, I'm for one, I hang on to my sheets
Me
until
too.
it's like, most of mine probably wouldn't make it here. But
Okay. So since we're talking about limits, some people might not understand why they can't get 5 bras while they're here.
and that also is based on the supply and demand. We don't get a whole lot of it in. So, and we have a lot of people that come through the clothes closet, and we want to have the opportunity for everyone to
Right.
be able to
Okay.
get what they need. And if we allow, then it just wouldn't be enough to go around.
Right, right. And also it keeps down yard sales.
Yes.
All of our clothes, we've had people give us donations, large donations, because they don't want it sold. They don't want money exchanged for it. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes. Most people are very vocal about the fact that they will bring it here because they know that it's going to be given away and not
Right.
sold.
Right.
A lot of the mission teams that not the mission teams, but some of the places that's brought us, that they will ask, so how much do you charge for this? I'm like, well, we don't charge
Right.
for anything that's in the clothes closet.
It's a weight based, right?
Yes. It is 50 pounds of clothing per person in the household for a year, and that is from October to October.
Okay. So a family of 4 can get 200 pounds of clothing a
Yes.
year. Okay.
Yeah. And we do not weigh anything but the clothes.
Okay.
The shoes are not even weighed.
Okay.
So we can't really
Right.
say wearable clothing because but
Coats,
we don't.
shoes, things like that are not weighed. The heavy stuff. Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay. That's a good
We
thing.
do keep the coats. Speaking of which, is allowed one winter coat, and
Okay.
that's the big fluffy, not the little winter jacket, not the little slim jacket that you zip up that's light,
Right.
or hoodies.
Okay.
We don't consider those coats.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. That sounds more than fair. It's given everybody, in my opinion, an opportunity to come in and get the things they need without having to worry about it.
And they are allowed to come in twice a month, just not within the same week.
I know. I think the camera can show how nice and clean and organized this clothes closet is. It wasn't always that way. When you started here, what, 19 years ago?
We were across the road, and we didn't have the nice hanging racks we have today. Everything was folded and stacked. And
I had forgotten that. That's right.
And if
I had
someone
forgotten
wanted
that.
the stack was yay high, and somebody wanted the sweater here, well, sometimes the whole stack went into the floor, and you were spent
And
your
didn't
time
always get picked up.
picking it back up.
Yeah.
And yes, everything was stacked not necessarily in small. Well, that's not true. There was a little piece of masking tape at the end. This was supposed to be your small sweaters. This was supposed to be your medium, so on and so on. So yeah, I mean it was very much disorganized.
I remember as everything is around here. It was kind of amusing how this wonderful building came into being. We had a relationship with an organization out of Charlotte, North Carolina, Blanket America. Sweet, precious people that we were very privileged to know. And he had a connection with a person in Louisiana that he had talked about how they would bring up these huge trailers of clothes, and we would have them sitting in the aisles. A lot of times people couldn't shop because the donations were down the aisles, right?
We were very limited with our space over there.
Yes. So he kept telling us, Lou Stables, the gentleman with Blanket America, kept telling us that we were when were we going to get a new building, and we would laugh about it and say, well, okay, whenever you write us a check. So one day, Susan Keene and I were eating lunch, and my phone rang. It was Lou, and he said, hey, I think I got you enough money for a donation for your box truck and then something for your clothes closet. And so he was all the time playing jokes and just being really funny, and I would go along with him and say, okay, how much you got? And he said $400,000. And I was kind of joking and kind of freaked out at the same time. And he said, let me call you back. I'm just pulling into a parking place. He was going to the hospital. He was also a pastor, and he was going in to visit someone who was in the hospital. He says, I'll call you back. And so after he hung up the phone, Susan was sitting there. She's going, what? What'd he say? And I couldn't remember because I couldn't tell if he said for $100,000 or $400,000. So we had to sit there and wait for his hospital visit. It was, I guess, maybe 30 minutes before he ever called us back. And so he was being really nice. And he said, so you got any questions? And I said, well, yeah, just one. What did you say? $400,000 or for $100,000? And he laughed. He thought that was just so funny. And he said, 400, comma, 000. He said, does that spell it out for you? And I wrote it down and slid it across the desk, the table there to Susan. And we both, I don't remember too much about the conversation after that because we've never been blessed to that extent at that time. God's been very good to us since then with some other things. But the work started on this place, and to go from, I think it was maybe a 20 by 32 room. Would you say the shopping area was 20 by 32? Yeah. To this is just absolutely amazing of what we've done. And speaking of Blanket America and our donations from Charlotte, I'm going to tell my little story. Because while we get the spring cleaning, we get the things that people have outgrown due to very very lucrative holiday seasons and parties. We also get stuff that's that's very sentimental. I remember one load, the very first load we got from Blanket America had a huge, huge couch. It was a white sectional couch, and I can't begin to tell you how huge it was. And it was from a member of the Charlotte Hornets basketball team. So by me being only 5'2", everybody thought it would be funny if I would go sit on it and just see how tall he was. And so I went and sat on it, and there were still 2 feet. After I sat down and stuck my legs straight out, there were still 2 feet left, and it was hilarious. And then we get the ones that kind of humble you a little bit. We got in one load from Charlotte, and we found a wedding dress. The volunteers going through it found a wedding dress, and then as they were sorting some more, they found the shoes. Then they were sorting some more, they found the wedding album. And then after sorting a little bit more, they found the bridal portrait. Now this isn't a bad negative story, because nobody knows what people go through and how folks have to have their belongings after they're no longer around gone through. But to think that that showed us that everything we handle, every pair of shoes, every handkerchief, everything is somebody's life. And to see that wedding dress, and then to see the portrait of the very dress on a person, and to know that person is no longer here, and we've been entrusted with their stuff. How
we see that. I mean, they'll usually it's the little widow men that bring the stuff in, and they can tell you, how they brought this in. I was actually in Food City on Saturday, and I kept looking at this gentleman. I'm thinking, I know him. Where do I know him? Mm-hmm. I made my round back, and I said, "You're the one that brought your wife's clothes over to the ministry center." He's like, I knew your face." He's like, "But I couldn't place it."
Uh-huh.
And he's like, I said, "You're bringing back spring clothes in the spring, her clothes for spring in the spring, aren't you?" He's like, "Yeah, I've got them boxed up, and I'll be bringing them." He just didn't want to overwhelm us with all her clothing at one time. He brought the winter stuff, and he has the spring stuff, so he said he'd be bringing that in too. But I mean, so our lives, even though it's just a donation, it ends up intertwining, because
he remembered who he brought her clothes to.
Yeah, and I remembered seeing his face, and I'm like,
yeah.
Don't I know you? It finally clicked. I would look at people, I know you from somewhere, but yeah. So that in particular. Also, I know, I think it was one day at the back door, we had that lady, and how long had her husband had passed? Because she was still just crying, and we tried desperately to get her to come and volunteer, but she had work.
Yes, they were from the Pocahontas area, and we knew them from where they attended a church in the association that owned the ministry center. And then as life had it, came along, he had to have treatments at Blue Ridge Cancer in Pulaski when I was having breast cancer treatments, and we were there at the same time, and I didn't know it, but he had passed away, and he had been gone about 2 years.
Yeah, and she was bringing her. She had just gotten around to bringing his, but as you said, they still trust. They know this is where they chose to bring their stuff.
And I think even though we're unloading stuff, this is my experience, and you've done it a whole lot more than I have. We give them time to say, "I remember when he wore this," or "I remember when she had this on," or "This was Mama's favorite. She had a lot of things this color because she always looked so good." We let them kind of say goodbye to the clothes, to the items. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that was part of the interview that was to come later, but yes, the ladies that came here from Lynchburg, I think we discussed.
Yes.
And mom had passed,
yeah.
And the sisters brought the stuff, and they stayed in the mission house because they wanted to go through it themselves.
One last time. Yep.
So, and as you said, the stories. Oh, I remember Mom wore this, and some of the stuff. I think Mom had a generous family, and some of the stuff that Mom hadn't gotten to wear.
Oh gosh.
But and they took their time and they matched it up. I mean, the shirt matched the pants, and it went on the same hanger. Our hangers that have the little clips on the bottom, and the shirt can go on the. And they matched each outfit up with the shirt matching the certain color of pant. And we had shoppers in that particular day, and the mother's clothes were the bigger sizes, which is what we really need for the women and men both. Is the bigger size clothes. So when our shoppers were done, I went back there and said, "Y'all come out here and look," because on Monday they put most of her stuff out. Actually, I think they were on to the donations we received from other people.
Right.
And so I said, "Come out here and look." So they had filled the entire section of large and extra large and 2X with her mom's clothes, and at least 50+% of it was gone. And they just teared up and started crying that that Mom's clothes they had it was kind of like their closure.
Right. Yeah, I see that. I do. Okay, getting back, talking about the sizes. With all the clothes that you all have in there to sort, how do you know when something's been on? Explain how you all know when something's been on the racks long enough.
How
do we
have
rotate?
a color-coded system. We have 6 colors, and let's see. We start out with
grab one of those.
We have yellow, we have green, we have orange, we have blue, we have pink.
I think there's like 6
red,
weeks worth.
Yes, there's 6 weeks worth of these colors, and the week before, or at the end of the shopping week for the customers, on Thursdays usually, we go through and whatever color will be hung the next week, we go ahead and pull that particular color, so then the next week we do the rotations. And that way something doesn't stay out here and occupy space that's not going to go.
Because if it's not gone in 6 weeks with being able to shop twice a week, it's not going to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Generally, absolutely. And then, of course, it allows for new inventory.
New inventory to come out. Different.
Something different.
And the things that come off the rack, if they were good enough to go on the rack, what do we don't throw them away?
No.
Explain how that works.
When we are sorting the clothing, if it is not the season that we're using, or we have an abundance of that size, we put it in a white bag.
Okay.
And we put it in a trailer that goes down to Statesville, Salisbury.
It's Salisbury. Yeah.
It's Salisbury, North Carolina, and it is redistributed there to other places that are in need of clothing, because not everybody is as blessed as we are.
That's right.
Some places don't, and that way we're passing the blessing on to other places. So when we sort, that's what we do. And when the colors are changed, if it was good enough to be hung up, then it is also put in a white bag and it is sent to Salisbury as well.
And something a lot of folks may not understand. If your volunteers open a donation bag, and you can tell right off that they've owned a cat, or a household pet, or if it's been in a basement for a long time,
or if it's been in a wood stove house, if it has a smell to it, if it has hair, dog hair, cat hair on it, if it's if we get an odor or it appears to be beyond what we can go through, we generally have to throw it away.
And because of the large inventory that we have, I know something that we've not talked about, but it's just kind of a given rule. The volunteers don't sit and go through a large garbage bag all the way down to the end. They go down a few layers, and if it's still the same, they just fold it up and get rid of it, because 9 times out of 10 it's not going to be suitable to go out.
And usually it depends if it's been bagged up like that. The smell permeates all the rest of the clothes.
You told me that one time, and I didn't believe it. Well, it's not that I didn't believe it, but I thought, oh, come on, this is a huge building. How can that happen? And we brought in, I'll never forget, there was a large donation of things came in, and they'd had a wood stove or some kind of smoke. And I came in the back door, and that whole sorting area had an odor to it. So yeah, it can't stay in there if it's got a smell to it. And so we'd like to ask our donors to make sure that it's clean, and because we don't put it out if we wouldn't let our kids wear it.
Yeah. If you wouldn't put it on your mother, your daughter, your husband, or your son,
Right.
then kind of figure out what to.
Yeah. Okay, you've been here with us 19 years. So, can you think, and I probably rushed you in you telling about the two ladies from Lynchburg, but can you think of any other experience that you've had here?
I've had plenty of different kinds of experiences. The best experiences that I've had is when we have people that they do come in looking for that specific thing. The one instance was a woman, she was going to go for a job interview, and the outfit fell together now she didn't find the shoes to begin with, but she found the pants, then she found the shirt, then she's like, oh, this will, and that, and at Christmas time, and I know you're quite familiar with this past Christmas with our Christmas project here in Bland. Some people didn't get the papers in time enough for their children. Something happened there, and so they were coming over here and looking for, and that's why we have been blessed with they're gently used. That's why we put the gently used toys.
Right.
The gently, if a puzzle comes, it's got to have all its pieces. If a game comes, it needs to have all its pieces. And speaking of the games that doesn't have all its pieces, well, in the sorting process one year, this woman evidently didn't have money she was going to re-gift her son a small air hockey game. Well, for whatever reason, I decided we were going to check it. It was minus pieces.
Oh. And that would have been a Christmas
gift for
them. Okay.
and that would have been, that is why it's, our volunteers are diligent, and if it has missing pieces, if your kids have colored on the baby doll's face or whatever else,
Right.
I mean, if I know not everything can be reused.
Right. That's a very good point. That's not everything can be reused. You're exactly right. We look at it, and your volunteers do a very good job with that.
Yes, my volunteers are very good.
Speaking of which, tell us about. Do you have all the volunteers you need, Lisa?
Lord, I could take a whole lot more volunteers.
Yeah.
Because it is a daunting task. Our mountain of love over the past week has exponentially grown.
Yes.
It actually drew the valley and then another molehill onto the other side. We've gotten the molehill down, but the mountain's still growing.
Yeah. And one thing I'd like to say before you go into volunteers, when people drop off clothes, I have heard them say, "Oh, you don't need my clothes." That's not true, is it? I mean,
No.
just because they come in and they see this gigantic thing.
No. And as we said, when we go through these clothes, there will be things that have been donated that are not the right season. And as we've discussed, they will have stains, they will have rips, they will have tear, and we definitely need, because hard to believe that in August, the one lady's mission was to get that cleaned out, and yeah, well,
you were empty in August, weren't you?
it was completely empty.
So what does somebody need to do if they think they would be interested in volunteering here?
Well, so far here lately, I think we've picked up two, and oddly enough, they were customers, neighbors in the clothes closet, and they decided that do you need any help? I'm like, sure, we need help. And I sent them over to you then, because
Yeah.
Definitely we can use all the volunteers we can get. As I said, I'm here Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 2:30. I'd love to, tell them to come right on. We can get them to working. Because some of my volunteers have some health issues.
Right. Right.
And
that can
most
happen
of my
overnight.
volunteers are older.
Yes. If any of our churches have Sunday school classes,
Yes.
anybody watching this that has Sunday school class, any civic organizations, if they would like to volunteer to come out and just see
Absolutely.
what it's like, and it also helps you to know why. If you have a question as to why we do what we do, Lisa is here, and sometimes we can twist her arm into working a Saturday,
Yes.
so that because some folks work during the week, and if they could come out and help on a couple hours of a Saturday, we'll make it happen. We don't always make Lisa work it. So, Lisa, what do you feel is your mission here? This was a surprise question.
My mission here is to provide quality clothing and things to people who cannot afford it.
Yes, yes.
We have, like I said, we have clothing, books, shoes,
Household items.
bedding, household items,
Yes.
and the appliances that do come in here are checked before I put them on the shelf.
Okay, I
because
don't
you're
think I knew
allowed
that.
3 household
Okay.
to go out of here, and if one of those household doesn't work, you kind of wasted
Right.
one of
right.
your choices. And I want the shoppers to feel welcome,
Right.
and that we're here for them, and
Yeah.
that we care. As I think we discussed in the last one, they really like it whenever they come in. The painters actually came back in, and I was like, "Oh, you're Ashley." She's like, "How did you remember that?" And I was like, I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's just like you saw that guy over in Food City or the grocery
Yes.
store.
yes, and he was a donor.
Yes.
And these were shoppers.
Yes.
And yes, I have my granddaughter who tells me I'm a stalker because I can just look at the people in line and tell her which paper we can pull. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not really stalking you. I just care, and I know your name. I recognize your face, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I want it to be a personal experience. Like they're clothes closet family. They're ministry center family.
Yes.
Because
exactly.
not only clothes, that there's the food as well.
I agree. I agree. Okay. Now, this is the part that I'm having a hard time getting used to because I forget my questions. So first, I'm going to give you an either or, and you just tell me what you would prefer. Okay? Are you a front porch or a back porch person?
Front porch.
Okay. Are you a soda or a pop person?
Pop.
Okay. So let's say you were going to your church potluck dinner. What would you fix?
I would fix green beans and potatoes.
Ooh, okay, that's pretty good. All right. You live over in Whitfield.
Yes.
Do you have a neighbor or that has been a good neighbor to you?
Well, when we first moved to Whitfield, I had a neighbor that she knew Derek whenever he grew up.
Oh, okay.
So, and she brought us a peach cobbler when we moved in. One of
Oh.
those cup of cobblers. She's like, it's not much.
Kind of
but
like
here
a
you
welcome
go.
wagon.
Yes. And I have the neighbor lady across the road, and she makes sure that my house is well washed. If the door has been left open, or she thinks I haven't, she hasn't seen something, she will come across and ask me any kind of question.
Yeah, I have some of those neighbors too. One of them's my sister. But go ahead.
She has good intentions.
Okay. All right. So, what in this world today, with the way things are going, what do you find that gives you hope?
Well, my hope, of course, we both know is in Jesus Christ, and He's coming again,
Yes.
and this world's going to pass away. But in the meantime, my hope is, you're a newly grandmother too, so you
Yeah.
kind of know where the hope is there. You enjoy watching and hoping for their lives and experiencing. It's just a different type
Yeah.
of feeling.
And you mentioned your granddaughter earlier. I have enjoyed watching Willow grow up and mature and work, and she's a good kid.
Yep.
And I know you're very proud.
Yes, she's very good.
Okay.
I'm proud of all five, 7 of them.
Lord. Okay.
Yes.
Lisa, thank you for, I know
Thank
this is
you.
the end of your shopping day. The shoppers have been in, and I know you're tired, but I appreciate you giving us a couple minutes.
No problem.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Good Neighbor Spotlight. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and help shine a spotlight on the spirit of service. To learn more about or support our work, visit blandministrycenter.org. You all take care, and I'll holler at you the next time.
That was really good. You want to give them one extra story?
Sure.
Tell them about the time that I was unloading a tote and they wanted their totes back. When we talk about things that we don't give out, so I had to go find boxes and bags to dump these clothes in, and I thought, they dropped a whole little jar of Jimmy Sprinkles in there. And I'm taking my hands and moving things over and thinking it's Sprinkles. It was rat poop. Don't bring us rat poop. Don't do it.
You want me to do that? You want me to?
I think they heard me say it. And I
Okay.
didn't even have to put my face on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't bring rat poop.
Hey, I've given all your volunteers accolades. I'm going to tell you about the staff across the road. When they look out, they come over and help.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, and then sometimes. So, if your clothes have been in a basement or somewhere,
Stored in an outbuilding.
Yeah.
Or barn.
sorry, we'll gladly let you use our dumpster. Please don't make us dig through rat poop.
Be blessed.
Have a good day.